Child abuse and neglect is one of the biggest growing issues in this country, and one of the hardest for very many students, teachers, and etc. And this is my way of contributing to that. I'm going to start a channel that will hopefully raise awareness for said issues. Good evening, YouTube. My name is Kristen Bonnet. I am a victim and a survivor of child abuse and neglect. I was told in my life I would never amount to shit, and that I was living life solely to please man. And I did not agree with that, but at the time I was too young to know any different. I had my innocence taken away from me when I was just a small child by a man that was supposed to be the one to be my father. He was very much far from this particular being. However, that was his position in my life. Instead of being my father, he was a monster. The monster I hid from in the shadows so that I could avoid the bruises, so that he couldn't hurt me. I wanted him to pay for all the misery that he brought onto me. But how could I do it? I was simply a child. A child with no way to bring agony onto the man that gave it to me. From a young age until the day that the state finally took me away, I was beaten, raped, abused, tortured. This man refused to let me have a life that a child should normally have. At the age of 2, I was forcibly thrown into the adult world. I was now learning to take care of myself, learning to fight the battle, and for once I was learning to beat the monster at 2 years old. The harder his blows became, the harder and stronger I learned to fight back. It wasn't long before the man was separated from us. A disgrace to society that he has called a home. His face, whom to the public should have been covered by a mask, was out and about. The state, though aware, let him remain out of prison. He did not ever go to prison for what he did to me. Even when the state took us away from the horrible situation, and I was no longer the target for such sexual exploitations, another man found the time to make me his slave. I had to do what Master said. If it wasn't sucking some old man off, I was being treated horribly, beaten, and smacked around. If I disobeyed, I would be thrown around the room and left to fend for myself in the cold room locked in the basement. I wasn't able to get out, and if I tried, the consequences would have only been severe. I was stuck with no way out, no place to call my own, no place for me to call home. I had little hope that I would ever see the happy side of life again. I was so afraid and discouraged that I fought as hard as I could to hold back the tears that were now uncontrollably falling down my cheeks. Every day, every night, no matter the dream, I was not sleeping. What am I going to do is the thought that usually plastered my fucking head as I laid it against the cold concrete floor. I have no hope. One day the state finally realized the situation was not a safe situation, despite all my protesting whenever they would be around to hear my cries, even if these cries were silent. Their job was to hear them, but they never did. They never did. I was finally free. I was able to avoid the hands of the monster that I was forcibly called and told to call Master. But it was only one monster. I was only able to avoid the hand of being forced into sexual acts that I did not want to partake in. and was simply too young to understand. I still, however, had to worry about being punched around, hurt, abused either physically or emotionally. Thankfully, the sexual abuse had subsided, even though it still existed, and it was still very much around if I should, do something that provoked the men or man to come back and pierce me in the way that they had wished. I had to push on. I had to keep being strong. I had to for myself. If I did not push on, I would have died. It would have been the end for me. I would have had no place to turn, no place to call my own. I would have had nothing left in this world for myself. I would have had no hope and no place left, period. As the physical abuse got worse, I started to get skinnier as food started to become scarce. I wasn't getting fed all the time. I would sneak food and would suffer the consequences for doing such actions. I would be more scared than I would normally be when this would occur. Every time I received a forcible blow to my face, I would see red clouds flooding over my head like it was nothing. I didn't have anything left to live for. I still haven't figured out exactly what that was. I'm simply just grateful that I am still alive. I had little left to fight for except for my right to live. I was going to push on for it, and no one was going to stop me. By the time that I was old enough and strong enough to defend myself, I was a very violent person who sought out other outcomes and outlooks in life. Whenever someone approached me and they made me feel threatened, they became my target. I started doing to them what had been done to me for so many years, punching people and beating people up. I started to give black eyes to little boys and little girls as I had seen it done to me. At the time, I'm 12 or 13 years old. Very few people could get close enough to cause me pain anymore, as my body had increased with strength, as my will to live and my will to fight got increasingly stronger. I was not going to let someone make me the death of child abuse and neglect. I was going to win the battle, no matter what it took, despite my bruises, my tiny body, and my bones protruding from my skin. I wasn't going to be another statistic. I thought I have since adopted it, and I continue to live by every day of my life. After 17 years of being molested, raped, beaten, tortured, thrown around like a trash on Sundays, I realized I had a purpose, a goal, a wish that needed to be fulfilled before I am to pass on into the next life. They say everyone has a purpose, something they must do before they can pass on. Mine is to help children in foster care. How can I do that? I must raise awareness of the issue. People need to be made aware of this issue before it starts to take over the world or the country in a deeper and darker way than it already currently is. I will do so over the course of many episodes that will raise awareness of the heart-touching subject, and hope that others may be able to help get these children what it is exactly that they need. And these children need loving, caring, down-to-earth, romantic, passionate families where they can learn to love, understand, grow, prosper, and basically the things that they did not normally have prior to, said point and all. And very, like I was stating before, very few people give kids this opportunity today, especially those who are in, abusive situations, so forth and so on. And I feel that one of the strongest ways that we can raise awareness for this issue is to have children who are in the same situation, or kids that have been in this situation, bring this up to people so that they can raise awareness for this issue. It is a extremely dark, hard, and powerful issue. However, that does not mean that we can't raise awareness to it. There are a lot of people out there who would not know, understand, or begin to even fathom what a lot of kids go through, which is where I come into place. I will, over the course of the next several weeks, be administering a child abuse and neglect channel that is specifically designed to help other kids in the same situation that I myself was faced with when I was growing up. So please do take care of yourself and take the time to subscribe to my channel as I continue to raise awareness of this growing issue that is affecting many kids, families, teens, adults in this country today. Do have a very great night. Blessed be, and may God bless you all. Take care.